Alright, I'm just going to record this so you get the sense of how it sounds, okay? I might make a mistake, but I'll just go back and either keep going or just kind of go back to the line or something. Alright, so we're going to keep rolling, and so let's just visually analyze the piece now that you know how it should sound. So this kind of idea comes back a lot. We see there's some triplets, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And even though they don't write it in here, they just assume that you recognize that same pattern, and they'll be triplets too. Alright, so when I see this, I kind of break it up into this chunk, then this is a new chunk, then this kind of goes back to the old beginning stuff, but it's an octave lower, and then this ending, it's similar to these kind of flowing, but they're arpeggios instead of steps, so they're skips. Great, so why don't we actually start at the end here? The end, it kind of looks hard, but it's really not that hard. Basically, it's just an A minor chord, broken A minor chord, okay? As you can see, the pedals push down. And so what you do is you start at this bass A, and you keep going with your right hand, and then what you do is you replace your pinky of your left hand where your thumb of your right hand is. So keep going with that till you get all the way to the top and you play the last A. And then the end is literally, okay, A, C, B, A. All right, so you're crescendoing this whole time. And then the end is very, very quiet. Okay, so that's the ending. It's actually pretty easy, so practice that. You might need to pause the video and work on that a while. Okay, so then after you're done working on that for a while, let's go back to actually this section here, starting at measure 9, and it ends at measure 12, okay? So if you need to write this note in, this is an E, okay? And all the pattern after that is going to start with an E, okay? So these two measures right here are going to be steps down, so E, D, C, B, okay? And the way it's articulated, there's an accent, a slur, and a staccato, okay? So the way that'll sound, I'm going to play it right here on my piano because it'll just be easier to hear. So I'm going to accent, play legato, play staccato. So, all right. So we're going to articulate that, and we're going to play that pattern over and over again. We're going to start at this E, which is 2 higher than the E above middle C, and we're going to end at this E, which is the E below middle C. So So we start here, play the right hand, play the left hand, right hand, left hand. All right. Next thing is this pattern is very similar to this pattern, except for we're gonna start on a D. So you can feel free to write that in. That took me a moment to just figure out what that note is. Or another way is to just look at this A and think, oh, that's a fourth above. Okay, so same thing, you're gonna alternate hands, and it's gonna be the same articulation with an accent, a slur, and a staccato. Sorry, let me try that again. Okay, so now I'm right there. I should have pointed out at the beginning, there's a triplet quarter note, triplet quarter note. All right, so great. Now the next thing I want to go over is this section right here. So again, feel free to pause and work on these sections until you get them down, and then go back and make sure you're playing it correctly, like how the video is going. You can even play along. Okay, so then this section right here, these are chromatic. This whole thing is going up chromatically. So chromatic means every note. So we're going up by half steps, and there's a very specific finger pattern we use when we're going up or down chromatically. So we're gonna start this note, bass clef, F sharp. Okay, so this is this note right here, the F sharp below middle C. We're gonna use our number 3 finger. We're gonna go up to G with our number 1 finger. We're gonna go up to G sharp with our number 3. Number 1 on A, number 3 on A sharp, number 1 on B, now number 2 on C, number 3 on C sharp, number 1 on D, number 3 on D sharp, number 1 on E, number 2 on F, number 3 on F sharp, number 1 on G, number 3 on G sharp. So the pattern is your number 3 finger always plays black keys. Your number 1 finger plays most of the white keys, okay? Except for C and F. Okay? So it might be best to just kind of learn that based on my hand and not really the page. There's a lot to look at here. So once you get that pattern and you feel comfortable, it's actually a really good idea to memorize that. Okay. And so once you get that down, basically that whole time you're playing a B with your number 3 finger, and you accent it. Then you start piano, you crescendo to mezzo forte. So the peak of the phrase is probably on this E or this F, and then you diminuendo. Okay? So I'm going to play that whole phrase kind of how it's written. Notice that there's a legato section and then staccato. So see if you can hear that. Okay. So great. Work on that. And then we're going to tackle this chunk now. So feel free to pause the video, work on the chromatic section, and then we're going to work on this chunk. So this chunk is pretty much the same as this chunk. Okay. This chunk, it's very repetitive. It's kind of almost annoying, like the buzz of a fly. So you can see lightly. It's very repetitive, fast and even, okay? There's lots of triplet, triplet, triplets, okay? But you can feel free to start slow. So your thumb starts in this A. This is the A above middle C. This is the next A. Your thumb starts there with your left hand. Your number 3 finger is on C. Your number 2 finger is on B. Not super hard, even though it's ledger line, so it looks kind of hard. That's the first measure. Now our new number 2 finger plays G sharp. We play the same thing in our right hand. Okay, and then the next thing is instead of playing the same note over and over again in our left hand, we're gonna step down. Okay, so I'm just gonna move here so I'm not reaching it like this. So then step back up. that should be a half note. So you'd hold that out. So let's just work on that section. Pause the video, work on it. So I'm just gonna play it. So once you feel confident, play along. So here's a slow tempo. Great, so then the next section, as you see, I had to write that in. That's a D and that's an F. That was just even printed in the book. All right, so your number 3 finger is on this F. Now this is 3 Fs above middle C. And your thumb is on the D right below. They're actually the exact same finger patterns, just you start on different notes, okay? So So feel free to pause the video, work on that. Literally the same exact finger pattern. They throw a B flat at you, so you can just get your hands all set like that. Okay. All right, and that's that section. So then right here, it's literally the same thing, except for it's just the A above middle C, and then the next C and B. And so on, okay? Great, so then right here it moves down again. Okay, so then the tricky thing is once you master all these sections, transitioning between the sections and kind of knowing how each section sounds so you can prepare yourself. So for example, I'm gonna start right here, okay? And it's just, even though this is a half note, you can look ahead to this and kind of plan where your finger's gonna go. So right here, your hand is in this position. Okay. Yeah. So think about it. Basically, your right hand's just gonna move to this E, and then your left hand's gonna move to this E. Okay? So again, that switch is like this. Alright, so just practice that transition, right? So now I'm going to play that really nice and slow. Alright, here we go. Okay, so you can just practice literally like the 2 measures between the transition, or even just the these measures here. Okay. So another transition happens from here to here, right? So let's just start right here. Okay, when I first played this song, it kind of tripped me up that these notes feel really slow, okay? So because you're playing triplet quarter note, 1, 2, 3, all of a sudden it's a totally different feel, okay? So again, that transition, not too hard with your left hand, you're still really in the same hand position, just your right hand has to move from this D to this F sharp, okay? So I'm gonna play that again. You could even just isolate this part right here. Okay. Next transition is from here to here, okay? So you've been playing a B below the second B below middle C, okay? And all of a sudden there's a treble clef, and your left hand has to move way up to here. So you might want to just practice how that feels, okay? Great. So keep going with that pattern of practicing transitions, and eventually just put everything together. I don't expect you to get this all in one day. This is like over the course of a week. I think that's all I have.